Are you ready for some good news? God is a consuming fire. And yes, that is really good news. Here's today's text from Exodus 3. Now Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian, and he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. He looked, and behold, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. And Moses said, I'll turn aside to see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Do not come near, take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you're standing is holy ground. And he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And this is Moses meeting God on God's own terms. If you're ever going to know somebody, you won't know him or her until you experience him or her. If all you have is an image of someone in your mind or mental assent to someone's existence, you don't really know that person. To know someone is to experience that person. Christianity isn't about mental assent to doctrines. It's about acknowledgement of God's reality. Christianity is an experience of God. He loves you. He saves you. He teaches you. He communes with you. He rejoices over you. He corrects you. He thrills you. What happens to Moses is, simply put, a spiritual experience. When the exiled murderer hears God speak from the midst of a burning bush, Moses has to decide, either this is a delusion and I'm losing my mind, or I'm experiencing God. If I'm experiencing God, this moment transforms every presupposition and plan of my life. It was no small thing that God appeared in fire. After all, the Scriptures always made it plain. Know therefore today that he who goes before you, Deuteronomy 9 says, as a consuming fire is the Lord your God. Fire isn't like other elements. If you touch water, you affect the water. If you touch clay, you mold the clay. But if you touch fire, the fire changes you. God doesn't want you to blindly believe doctrinal proclamations. He wants you to experience His grace up close and personal. When you experience the fire of God's love, it changes you forever. And that's the gospel. Well, if you want even more good news, you can find it for free at sharingthelight.org.